Premiership Power Rankings after 8 rounds. I'm going into this one a little bit blind because I have seen very little of the Premiership this weekend with so many international games on. I've seen about 3/4 of the draw between London Irish and Saracens, and that's about it. So, maybe barring the odd highlight. But anyway, the Power Rankings are all results based, so I don't need to have seen the games. I wish I had seen a wee bit more, but hopefully throughout the week, before we get to the next round of internationals, I'll have a chance to catch up a little bit. But we'll go through them. 13th, kind of no surprise, Bath. Winless Bath. They got smashed by the top team. There's no real shame in that, but none from 7. Where else can I put them? I think they've been 12th once because they were on a bye one week. It's the best result they've had thus far. Worcester, after kind of having a decent win in round 7, are back to kind of familiar territory with a bit of a hiding from Bristol, resurgent Bristol side. So, it's a bit unfortunate. It was maybe going to be the start to something else for their season. Not quite. I know they'll be without Duan van der Merwe for a few weeks. I haven't seen how many other internationals they have lost from their squad, but it's a loss for them. London Irish, I feel like are getting a little bit hard done by because an away draw at Saracens at the moment seems like kind of a little bit of a victory in itself. But how much credit do you give for a draw? I've given a bit, but it's hard to give a lot because a draw is still a draw, and their record is still 1 win, 4 losses, and 3 draws. They love a draw. But one win is the main difference. I mean, I've got them, I think, 11th here, but the actual rankings have got them 9th, which is maybe that one's a bit fairer because when they've been getting beaten off and they've been getting kind of close results. So not entirely happy with the way London Irish is sitting on my power rankings. I might have to readjust the way I score draws, but I don't know. That's how it's kind of come out for now. Wasps are here in 10th. Wasps' record is 3-4, which is kind of a similar record to some of the other teams who I've got above them, but in recent times it's not been all that great. 3 of their last 4 games have been losses. So, the most recent one, that home loss to Harlequins. So, I don't know what the injury crisis is looking like at the moment. I know it was pretty bad only a couple of weeks ago, but the results, I guess, speak for themselves. And lastly, I've got Sale here, who are just barely in 9th. I could have had them a spot higher, but they're still a little bit inconsistent. It was a good win for them at the weekend of Northampton, who are on a bit of a bad run of their own, but they are up 1 spot. I should have mentioned Wasps were down like 4. So, that's the bottom row for the moment. Now, speaking of Northampton, I've got them just barely here in 8th. They are on a bit of a poor run of their own, kind of like Wasps. They are 1 win from their last 5 rounds. I think there's a bye in there as well. But they started the season pretty surging strong, and it's kind of tapered off a little bit. I think they're 5th on the log, but I'm saying recent form drops them a bit lower than that. That's the whole idea with the power rankings. So it's 8th for them. Gloucester were on the bye, so their record is what it is. They're missing at least a few guys, I know, with England and with Scotland, so maybe it's not a bad thing for them to have the bye during the international period. Bristol is kind of storming up the rankings in the last couple of weeks because, I mean, if you just look at their last 3, they haven't lost. It's been a bye and then 2 wins. Maybe the bye came at the perfect time for them. I said it was possible that it could be the same for Bath, but when they came off the bye, they got smashed. So, at least for Bristol, that logic seems to be working. 2 wins on the trot for them. Their home win against Worcester was, pretty impressive, even if Worcester are down the log. Worcester had shown a week before that they could get a result. And rounding out this row, I've got Exeter, who lacking a little bit of consistency of their own. Another side who will have some guys out with the internationals, but I guess who doesn't? Somewhere there'll be information about which squads got the least guys out with internationals. But yeah, Exeter, a bit mixed. They lost to Newcastle. It was very close. But yeah, it was still a loss. They are 4 wins and 4 losses at this point of the season. Top row, Newcastle, man. The Falcons. Did anybody see some of their results come in this season? They've been pretty strong. I think they're only 7th on the actual log, but I'm saying a bit of credit there for an away win at Exeter, up 4 spots. They've been solid this season and maybe giving them a bit of recognition where that's due. I like to think so. Harlequins, I've got them in 3rd. That is the same as last week. No change despite their away win at Wasps, and it was a good away win. So no, they are up 1 spot, I should say. Saracens are still there in 2nd. There was never going to be any change at number 1. A draw for them is probably disappointing, all things considered. They seem to have a pretty decent lead in that game. And then, I haven't seen the end of it, but I know London Irish are going to end up drawing it. And Leicester Tigers, unbelievable run, just goes on. I think there was a bit of talk about George Ford maybe getting called up to England, but Owen Farrell's COVID test now being called a false positive has scuppered that plan, as last I read. But man, big win over a weak Bath side. They're on the bye, but they're not going to be changing from number 1. No matter what anybody else does, there's no catching Leicester on the log or on the power rankings at this point, because they are miles ahead of everybody else. So 8 wins on the trot. When was the last time that happened? Upcoming fixtures, Exeter and Bath are playing. So Bath have got Exeter at home. Newcastle and Worcester. That will be a good test for Newcastle, because they'll be at home, I guess, of whether or not they deserve my spot there at 4th, because if the 4th place team playing 12th should potentially put them to the sword, but we will see. London Irish away to Quins. If Quins smash them, then maybe this power rankings is right, and the log's giving them too much credit, but my brain tells me no, that London Irish are better than 11th, and that the actual log rankings of 9th has them a bit more correct. Gloucester and Wasps, that should be a good one, because I think both sides will be pretty hungry for that win. They're kind of both middling without having too much to shout about. I mean, Gloucester are 6th and the Wasps are 10th on the log. Saracens and Sale. Saracens will certainly want to be getting a win. I know they're at home 2 weeks in a row, so they'll be wanting to give the home fans who maybe left a little bit disappointed last week something to cheer about. And Sale, I guess, just wants some consistency, so they could use 2 wins on the trot. Bristol and Northampton, likewise. Bristol seem to be tracking well, and Northampton seem to be tracking pretty poorly, so that could also be, maybe that's the one. If I do get to watch one game this week, maybe that's the one I need to watch. But yeah, that's the power rankings for round 8. As I said, I haven't seen a heck of a lot of the game time just because of how much rugby has been on. But yeah, I can see some of the logic to the power rankings. Some of them are pretty similar to what we've got on the log. Some of them are a little bit different. But you guys let me know your thoughts. Where would you have the teams ranked if you were doing them? And I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.